How you guys doing? Hopefully everybody's having a great night. Thank you for joining me today. Today we got a special show on Late Nights with Sabr. We have the man himself, the STL King, the Design King, Middleton made.
Hey, what's good, my man?
How you doing, brother? Hopefully you're having a good day.
I am staying hydrated with raspberry vodka, so it's a good night.
That's right, bro. We got a couple people in here. Hopefully we get a little bit more. We got Ron Bear allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, bro. John Crump has that on his soundtrack. And then I interviewed my daughter, last week, I think, and she said it out of the blue, like, I didn't even tell her to do it, she just said it.
For what?
I interviewed my daughter,
Yeah,
so I had my daughter all of, the last week, and she had, like, this, school lockdown thing for, shooting, right? So I
yeah,
interviewed her, I had her talk about it, and she was talking about what the teacher made them do because they thought there was a shooter in the school, but then
yeah.
it was fake. So then she's, like, talking about what's going on, and she's like, "Allegedly," and I'm like, everybody was tripping, bro.
you
Alright,
know,
man. What's up? Go ahead. Sorry.
that's always something that has never gotten across my mind, or that always comes across my mind whenever these shootings happen. Is like
Yeah.
schools aren't made for security; they're made for like is fitting as many kids as you can in as possible. And even though they should have good security practices in place because they're not made with security in mind. They're basically told to hide under desks and hide behind walls and like don't interact. And it's like,
Bro,
man,
that's what she told me. She told me that the teacher made them stay quiet and put their heads down and turn off the light, and then I guess they were trying to figure it out. So I guess kids were like, "Hey, like, we need to use the bathroom," so that she got a bucket, put it inside a closet, bro, and that's where kids were going to do their thing in the bucket, bro.
I
Bunch of
mean, the bucket thing's cool. Like, if you got to stay in there, but like,
Yeah.
open a window, maybe
Yeah,
leave, leave.
exactly, bro. Like, don't stay there with the lights off, quiet, like the shooter's gonna pass and be like, "Oh, the light is dark. Let me skip this room. Come on."
Yeah. N-
Oh, we got 3
Barricade the door, maybe. Like, I don't know. There's
Yeah.
just so many other things that you could do. Or here's a thought: instead of telling kids to hide and wait to be murdered, put locks on the doors.
Yeah, bro. Like, for real.
That's crazy.
They need to do something, like, I think I saw, like, this post where the teacher was teaching kids how to use a chair to actually, like, lock the door.
Yep.
I was like, "Damn, they need to teach this to the teachers and stuff like that." Alright, man. We got a couple people in here. Let them know who you are, what you do. Introduce yourself pretty much. Go ahead.
Hey there, makers. Welcome back. I am Middleton Made. If you don't know who I am, I design food themed or food named themed 3D prints and weapons, and accessories, and things like that. The most notable design that I have so far is the mac and cheese. That's a printable lower receiver and Mac 11 upper as a host. Um, Other than that, I'm a husband, I'm a daddy, and I work in video production. I think that's pretty much it.
That's dope, bro. Thank you for being here tonight. I
For
really
sure.
appreciate your time, man. So, the people pretty much know you, bro. Everybody knows you. You got dope designs.
Thank you.
Your videos are on point, and then, when you start shooting, bro, I get jealous because you got this amount, like, it's just a bunch of open land all around you, and I'm like, "Damn, bro, this dude's got places to shoot."
There's not many times in my life that I've ever felt privileged, but that's one of the times where I'm like having access to that through a family friend is that's a really cool situation I got set up there. And that's a recent development. That's something that like in the last year has really become a thing. Prior to that, since it's a family friend, my dad was able to like bring us all there. But I mean, I'm 32, so my dad's boomer age, and all those people don't. They're like plastic guns. Blah.
Yeah, yeah, they're like, "Nah, we only mess with 1911s, that's
Shit.
it."
So one Christmas, I even built my dad a ghost gun 1911. Like, I had the jig and I milled it out and I got it all set up straight, and I mean, it was no serial, no nothing, and
Did he trust you or no?
well, he trusts me. He knows that I did it. He
Yeah,
knows that I wouldn't do something like that and give it to him if it wasn't legal. So,
yeah,
but he was still like, "Shit, don't want to. It'll go in the safe." And I'm just like, "What the fuck? Like, shoot it. Like, have fun with it. Like, it's just because it's not a factory from Springfield, from Remington, or whoever else. Like, it's a man-made, handmade gun. It's not a factory gun.
correct. Yeah, a
It's
lot
like
of
that's
people are
fucking
old school.
nuts."
Yeah. A lot of people think that just because it's unsterialized or certain like even with the P80s for a while, a lot of people were complaining on them. Like when I started doing P80s, I remember it was fairly new. Not a lot of people had them or had heard about them. But
Sure.
every time I would show it off or like let people see it, they're like, "Oh, those things jamomatics." I'm like, "What?" Like, nah, bro. You just you have to know how to do it correctly and spend your time on it.
Yeah.
Use the correct tools. And now you see those things everywhere, bro.
One of my first videos on my personal YouTube was posting my first shots through I think it was the first version. No, it was the second version of the P80s. I had the first one, the big giant Glock 17 one that they came out with, but I really didn't like the design. So I got the 19 when that one came out,
Yeah.
and that was one of the first ones I made it, or one of the first videos I made, and yeah, that gun was cool. I was a contractor for like 8 years, and I ran the P80 as my primary weapon for 3 or 4 of those years.
Mhm.
So it was pretty cool. It was sick.
Damn, that's crazy, bro. Alright, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, and I'm gonna start off with your childhood. Were you raised, like, in a pro two-way family environment, or was your family not two-way friendly? How did that go?
It was kinda split, so, like, my dad has always been more right-leaning, my mom's always been more left-leaning, and they were split since I was real young, but, um I pretty much grew up, like, in the hood, so, like, guns are always a part of the life, and, like, I was literally the only white kid in elementary school, like
Damn, bro.
yeah,
How
it
did
was
that
cool,
feel?
like, my best friend was Aubrey, and the girl who would always pick on me, her name was Keisha, so it's like, this is what I
Damn,
lived in, but I remember being that little and, like, riding through and, like, you roll down the wrong street on your bike, and then people would be like, "Get the fuck out of my yard, you kill you and come out here again." I'm like, "Ah, shit, better not roll down this road again," like, so, like, I knew what streets to go down and stuff, so, I
yeah,
mean, no matter where you go, there was always firearms and stuff like that, but either good or bad, but, I mean, that's how it was when I was a kid, and then I think the first time that, like, I actually went, out with, like, my dad or anything like that shooting was when I was, like, 12.
mhm,
Um, and that was just to practice with like 22 and stuff like that. And then the next trip out was like a week later because they wanted me to learn how to go duck hunting. And I
yeah.
went duck hunting with my uncle, shooting 12 gauge. And that was an experience.
So how was it, like, shooting ducks, bro? Because I remember, like, the first time that I, like, actually like, I seen animals die, because, I mean, we're Mexicans, and for, like, birthday parties, like, especially for, like,
Bring
little
a chicken's neck.
yeah, like, necks and also, like, the goats, bro, because you know how we make, like, birria and barbacoa? So, I remember when I would go, like, to the farm, like, over here in Chino, and we'll pick up a goat, and they would, like, the kill it in front of me, bro, like, his neck, bro, and I could just
And
hear
he's
it
just like,
scream.
ah.
Yeah, you know how it sounds like a baby when it's crying, bro? I
Yeah.
was terrified, I remember I was terrified, and I think my dad noticed, and he looked at me, and then, when we stopped at the store, he bought me, like, this baseball magazine. Like, "Here, concentrate on baseball, get that out of your head." I'm like, "Damn."
Yeah.
I remember when I shot, my first bird, bro, I kind of hurt it, bro, I felt like a murderer, like, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, it was weird, yeah, for real.
Did you plan on consuming it or was it just like going hunting
It
for
was more for fun. Yeah, it was like
yeah.
a fun thing, so, they're like, "Here, go ahead, bro," and, like, they're teaching me how to aim, how to hold it, and I
Mhm.
let it go, and it hit him, bro, and I just see him fall. I'm like, "Damn, this was dead."
Yeah, taking your first life is interesting, like, even if it's just an animal, like, when we were hunting, that was the first time for me, and it was the same thing, like, I didn't have too bad of a feeling about it because I knew that we were gonna consume it, and that was kinda
Yeah.
where I always came from, is, like, hunting's cool if you're gonna be sportsman about it and actually, like, consume what you're doing and stuff, but, um, it was more of like, my bigger complaint was just sitting there in the cold and in the wet because like, duck hunting, we had a bunch of the decoys out,
Mhm.
and I'm just sitting there shivering, trying to stay warm.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, "Oh shit, there's some ducks." I'm like, "Do I really gotta grab the shotgun or can I just stay like this?" And like eventually a couple of them come down and you're like, "All right, fuck it, fine." Like I I went over limit though. So it was good. Like I remember it was a cool experience because we had this little duck hunting boat and it was super shallow. Like the walls on it were super shallow, but you could go over sandbogs and stuff like that. Like as long
Uh-huh.
as you have enough speed, you'll just slide right all over them. And um every time that we fired, we saw the ducks go into one little spot.
Yeah.
Bam, they all fly to one spot. Bam, they all fly over to the one spot. We're like, "Huh, that's interesting." So then right before we went over there, it was funny because my uncle had brought these brand new, really expensive, really nice decoys that his buddy just got done painting by hand. He painted them all. His duck lands in the midst of all the decoys. It was like one duck this time. I take aim. He goes, "No, you're not aiming at the right one. It's that one." I'm like,
Oh, you were gonna
"Okay."
shoot the decoy, bro?
Well, that's what he said, and then so I'm like, "Okay, whatever, I'll aim at that one." I'm like 13 at this point.
Yeah.
Pump a shell into it. He's like, "Oh, you must have missed." Pump a shell into it. Must have missed again. I'm like, "I don't think I'm missing."
Bro.
We pumped between him and I 13 shells into that decoy. It wasn't the duck, and then I'm like, yeah. I'm like, "Give me one more shell." And I go to the one that I thought it was, and turns over, and I'm like, "Told you." Like,
Damn. So you
I
shot the decoy, bro.
13 times the decoy was fucked.
Bro,
But
decoys are expensive. I didn't realize
yeah.
it till I went into a store and I was seeing how much they like, especially the newer ones.
Mhm.
Like, damn, what the hell?
Well, especially being, like, 13, you're like, you're gonna trust the guy who's been hunting every weekend kind of a thing. Like, you're like, "Alright, uncle, if you say it's that
Yeah,
one."
for sure. Yeah,
When we
you're
picked up that decoy, though, it was trash, like, they threw it away. It was a couple $100. But what was funny was right after that, we were like, "Alright, screw this, we'll pack up the decoys." He was feeling defeated from that, so we went to the little island that all of them kept flying to every time that we shot,
Yeah.
and that was the first time that, like, I ever, like, snuck up on an animal or snuck up on anything, and, like, we were literally, like, low ready, just kinda creeping through, and we could see this small little pond in the middle of the island, and there was just fucking ducks, like
Damn, bro.
and he was like, "You only can get 3 more." I was like, "Alright." It's like, "If you go over 3 and we get caught by the DNR, they're gonna find my ass, so only get 3." And I'm like, "Okay." Aim at there's, like, 3 lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
They all take off. I think you can do 4 for duck? However many it was, I remember firing that many and being like, "Alright, I got him. Haha." And we counted the ducks, I'm like, "How many can we do?" It said, "3. You only can do 3." I'm like, "I got 5." So, I was like, "Ugh." But
But
yeah,
I
that was
mean, at least you ate them and, I
so it turns out I fucking hate duck. So,
why you like duck, bro?
I don't remember exactly why, 'cause again, it was, like, when I was 13, but man, I just remember being like, "Ugh." I've always been a picky eater, and imagine
Yeah,
being
like
like a
the meat
13-year-old
the meat on
teen.
a yeah, the meat on a duck is a little bit more like
If I remember, it was chewier than, like, I'm used to. And, like, I'm used to venison, I'm used to steak, and, like, it wasn't anything like deer, it wasn't anything like cow, it wasn't anything like chicken, it wasn't anything like turkey, and I'm just like, "This meat's fucking weird."
yeah, that's crazy, man. So then we know that you come from a, like, pretty two-way family, which is dope. Um, let's talk about how did you start, realizing that, you might have an obsession with firearms?
So, it's funny because it's completely contrary to my beliefs now, but when I was a kid, I always liked the military, I always liked the police and stuff like that. It's like Cops was my favorite show, and, like, I remember my my aunt would tell me, like, when I was in diapers, I'd run around like, bad boys," like,
Yeah,
singing the theme song and stuff, but, so I've been into firearms pretty much as long as or before I could walk, like,
damn, bro.
it's always been something that I've been interested in, and, I remember even in, like here's a funny tidbit, I remember even in, like, it was in middle school or high school? Must've been high school. Maybe. I don't know. Either way, SOCOM 2 just came out on the PlayStation, and I had to babysit my cousins, and they're both like, one was in diapers, one was just out of diapers. And I
Yeah.
was like, I will give you guys candy on the hour, every hour. If you stay in your room, be good, and don't make a mess. And I just played SOCOM. It was like, "Oh, these guns are so cool. The Glock 18? Whoa!" And, like, "The Mac 11? Whoa!" Like,
Damn.
that's how I learned most of my nomenclature and, like, most of my guns and stuff was from video games, and then I'd watch movies about them, and this is, like, the early ages of the internet, and I would do dial-up on AOL and start
Yeah.
researching guns and stuff, and I remember as soon as I turned 18, I had, like, an arsenal. Like, I'd go to gun shows every week and find the best deals, and that's when you could buy stuff for, like,
Cheap, huh?
cheap. Like, I bought, like, my first 3 Mosin Nagants, I'm pretty sure were, like, 60 bucks. All 3 of them were, like,
Damn.
good condition. I remember buying, like, a Polish Tonto for 400 bucks, which is a AK.
Yeah.
The PSL, the big Dragunov looking, uh, it's basically an oversized AK. I bought that for, like, 900 or something like that, 8 maybe a grand. I mean, I had, like, all the coolest shit, and I was just like, "Oh, this stuff is
Yeah.
awesome. I can't wait to be even more of a grown up and I can buy more."
Yeah, for sure.
Sold all that shit because I was like, "Oh, I'll buy more." And now here we are today, all that
Yeah,
shit.
you buy less, bro. The older you get, the less you buy unless you have, like, pretty good money
Well,
steps.
all that stuff is so much more expensive now. So,
Yeah,
like, the Polish Tonto I bought for 400, I sold it for 900, and I'm like, "I made fucking bank on this."
but
And
then
then the kits now, just the parts kits are 1,200 bucks. So I'm like, it's 3 times more expensive that I bought the full AK brand new. So I'm like, "God damn."
guns and gold and silver and, like, metal is, like, the way to go, bro.
Yeah, once I sold the last weapon I sold was that PSL, and I was like, "I'm never selling a gun again." Because after I sold that PSL, I was like I think it was, like, a year later, I'm like, let me see about getting another one," and I was like, "Holy crap." Like
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. And then, let's talk about, how did you get into, like, STL and, like, you realized, like, "Hey, I could 3D print this." Like, how did you figure that out?
so that actually came out of a moment of being broke and desperate. I was like, "Man, I got this RMR I got a really good deal for." It was like a RMR that had a crack in the window,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Oh, shit, I got a really good deal on it because I had the crack in there," and I'm like, "I don't fucking care, like, whatever." Um, I was like, "I gotta find a way to get this on my AR. Like, how do I get this on my AR?" And I mean, this is, like, 7 years ago now?
yeah,
7 or 8 years ago, somewhere in there. Um, and I was like, "How do I get this on my AR?" Like, the risers for these things are just giant risers. They don't look good. They're not made for this size or anything like that. So it looks funky to get just some generic big ass Amazon riser.
yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if I could like model one in 3D. Like I went to school for game design, so
Oh,
I
that's where
didn't. Yeah, I didn't like. I wasn't a 3D modeler. I was map design. So like I worked on maps and making maps enjoyable to play and navigate and
yeah,
stuff. Not 3D modeling. But I was like, is 3D modeling really that hard? It turns out yes, but also no. But um, I was like, I wonder if I could just like model one and 3D print one? Because this is right when I learned about, like, Cody Wilson and The Liberator and all that kinda stuff. That whole
so pretty
thing.
much all that stuff is kind of what piqued your interest. It was Cody Wilson and the Liberator.
Yeah, literally, I saw that you could 3D print a full firearm, and I'm like, "I'm in."
Man, that's crazy.
But, I mean, that's, like, actually what I did. The first printer that I bought was the ANET A8, and, although it was an incredible fire hazard, now that I know in retrospect, but, I designed my first Picatinny rail, riser for the, um uh, basically the footprint of the RMR plate that was on there, and I had a RMR on my AR for a couple months until I sold it.
Yeah, bro.
And that kinda led into everything else because 'cause I'm like, "If I can print a riser,
Mhm.
probably print other accessories, probably print more, like, the actual guns." And I had people asking like, "Oh, can you print me, like, a vertical grip and stuff like that?" So I had other people interested in it too, so I'm like, "Huh, there's some demand in this," and
Yeah.
I've always been kind of a hustler, so I'm like, "Huh, I wonder if I can make money off this."
Gotta gotta click, huh? Damn.
Yeah, so I was like, "Hey, let me learn how to 3D model, and maybe I'll start, like, a 3D modeling service." That didn't go well, but, um, more of, like, a passion project and more of, like, on the basis of, like, liberty and that kind of a thing. Now it's way better, like, I'm more intelligent, I'm more, uh, I guess, disciplined in the 3D modeling, and I have a lot more, I guess, a firm foundation in, like, my beliefs and stuff like that now that I'm kinda above the age of 26, like
Yeah, 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 yeah. Like, now you wanna do the right thing, not just do things
Yeah,
to fuck around with.
bingo, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Um, what when you started doing the modeling, did you ever think that you'll be designing, like, actual gun frames and stuff like that? Or it was just like, "Oh, I'll probably do, like, rails, handguards, stuff like that," but never, like, a full-blown project?
What's funny was, I think I had a little bit of an ego when I first started because I was like, "Oh, I'll just make another AR, that's cool." Like, it's what you can't just do that, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot more to it, and, like, learning about clearances and tolerances and stuff like that that you have to actually account for. Um, I'm not a machinist, I never was, so learning about all that stuff and just how to make things in general was a learning curve, and then, like, now, I still need to take into account making things for subtractive manufacturing, like, everyone wants metal feed ramps for everything. So now I'm like, I have to design for additive manufacturing, 3D printing, but with subtractive manufacturing in the back of my mind to make sure it's still possible. And I'm just like, every time it's just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And there's actually someone who's CNCing a full mac and cheese. Like they
What?
have, yeah, they have 2 blocks of aluminum and they're making the 2 halves and they're going to clamshell it together. So,
Damn, bro. Okay, so since you brought up the mac and cheese, let's talk about that because I know that a lot of people actually that's why they're getting a Mac. You know, that's like the
yep.
whole reason that they started dove into the Mac because of that mac and cheese. Let's talk about that design and how it came up. Like, how did you achieve that design?
Sure. So the inspiration came directly from the Mac Daddy. I saw the Mac Daddy and no offense to the designer, but the aesthetics were not my cup of tea. But I was like, wow, the fact that they could take the Mac 11, which has trigger slap and it kind of sucks to shoot, and put it into the 3D print, I was like, that's fucking genius. Like, so, I mean, hats off. I mean, that's the Mac Daddy is what got the mac and cheese started. So, Mac Daddy's like the grandpa of the mac and cheese in
That's crazy.
reality. Um, but me being from Wisconsin, I just see mac and I'm like, "Mac and cheese." So
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
like like, "Alright, that'd be kinda funny, like, make a food-based thing, like, be kinda cool." And that's
yeah.
what kicked it all off. I'm like, "Alright, everything from here on out is gonna be food-based,"
Bro,
because everyone's coming up with these kick-ass names. I'm like, "I gotta have something to be different."
and you know what you remind me of? The MF Doom, of 3D printing, bro. You know who MF Doom is, right? He had
No.
so MF Doom had a whole album called Food. He's like this, he's a rapper, bro, hip hop artist.
Yeah.
And he just made a whole album, and his whole album is titled, like, Food. You should check it out, bro, you'll like it.
Yeah, I'll
Um
look it up, that's kick-ass.
So that's when I started, seeing your stuff and hearing the names, I'm like, "Man, that like, MF Doom, they like, I that's what I thought, you know? But that's dope, bro."
Yeah, if you start seeing that in the stories, you know I like it.
Yeah. So, was that, like, one of your most difficult designs, or which one? What do you think it was one of your most difficult designs?
That was definitely the design that, like, I grew the most off of. Because when I went into that one, I had only done a few accessories and wasn't very well known at all. Mac and cheese is really what kinda got me to where I am today and kinda helped me grow within the community, which I'm extremely thankful for because this community is way the fuck better than, like, the general gun community. Because the general gun community is very white, very, Republican, and very non-diverse, and, like, one of my best buds was, like, a full-on commie, and now that he's getting into, like, 3D printing and stuff like that, he's like, "Fuck all that," like, he's more central, and, like, I know so many people who
Bro,
came from the left, and they're coming more middle now because of that, and, like,
yeah.
and we got so many, like, LGBT and, like,
I mean,
whatever, all that
yeah,
kind of stuff,
yeah,
like,
you're right,
there's
it's dope. We got a lot of femboys, which surprised me, bro.
Yeah,
I never, I never imagined that, and then all of a sudden, I see it, like, and I'm like, "What the hell is" I had to ask my brother, like, "Hey, bro, what is that?" And then he told me, like, "Yeah, that's why they build guns." I'm like, "Oh, shit, makes sense." But, yeah, it's like it's a crazy community, bro, and it's
you know
amazing.
first off, hell yeah, PC. Uh, but so I made a joke about it because I made that observation too. I was like, man, we got a lot more of all the different like LGBT and whatever else you got in there. But I was just like, I wonder what it is. And I was like, oh, it's probably because you're gonna have like like colorful receivers. And I was like, no, but really, like
Yeah,
you could print it in whatever fucking color you want. You can
yeah,
put whatever design on it you want. Like if you want to put whatever your favorite character of whatever anime or whatever, which is Hank Hill. Hank Hill or King of the Hill is the best anime, by the way, but,
you like
uh
Hank Krill? You like
oh,
Bro
butane's a bastard gas, Bobby.
Bobby?
Whoa.
Propane and propane accessories. I love that show, bro.
Yeah.
And you guys have no clue how much that show has in common with Mexicans. Like, if you see, bro, all the crew just kicks it outside the house and drinks beer, bro. That's pretty much what
Oh, yeah.
Mexicans do all the time.
Yep.
Outside the house drinking beer, bro, with
Yep.
our wife beaters on. Not beating our wives though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely the mac and cheese, though, like, there's a see if I can grab this box without making a huge mess.
Go ahead, man.
I mean, I have, like, a box minus this one. These are all prototype receivers from the mac and cheese. They're all rejects. I mean, there's
Damn, bro.
I think about 20 in here. Like there's this is all the what got me to where I am today as far as learning and figuring out tolerances, figuring out how to make things work together and teaching myself different principles in CAD and in SolidWorks and just trying to get better.
So so
So
so you use SolidWorks strictly, or you jumped around from, like, Fusion and then learned SolidWorks? How did you figure out
so
SolidWorks, worked best for you?
well I had a buddy who is in manufacturing in general. I'm gonna be a little vague about him just to keep him cool, but he's in manufacturing and he basically taught me how to do some of the SolidWorks stuff that his family uses and just like a super basic overview, enough to get me started. And he got me started with one of his licenses because he's like, "Oh, we got a couple spare ones. You can hop on and just kind of mess around with us for a little bit." And that's kind of what got me started on all that. And once I learned like the very basics, like how to start a project and how to start an assembly or a part or anything like that, that's how I started jumping into YouTube. And I was like, okay, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? And like, what was that?
Bro, the homie made a meme about my shoes.
Oh my god,
He
that's
always
so
says
good.
some shit, bro. Last time he sent me one where I look like Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. Go ahead. So the homie hooked you up with a free, license, and then that's how you started doing what you were doing pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just again, like, there's a couple things that just kind of fell into place and like kind of got me to where I am. I mean, I have a huge strive to always be doing something productive, and luckily, I know who to harass in order to make that happen. So, uh, Yeah, when I was like, "Hey, I should be able to figure out how to make my own Picatinny riser," I reached out to the only guy I knew that was in manufacturing, and he was like, "I'm super busy, but I'll show you a few things," and he gave me just enough to get started, so
Damn, bro. So now, kind of a way now I understand a lot of your designs because a lot of your designs have like they're aesthetically pleasing, bro, and they have the correct lines. You know, people
yeah.
don't understand that when you're gonna design something, bro, you have to give it. How
You
could
have
I?
to have everything weighed out in proportion and
Yes, correct. Like
perfectly balanced as
yes,
all
like
things should be.
geometrically balanced, and their shit is always on point, bro. And I was like, "Damn, this dude, like, must have worked with somebody like that, cause I know your stuff's always geometrically aligned, bro, and I love that shit." I'm fanning out right now, but now
I
it's
appreciate it. The kind words are really appreciated. He
yeah,
didn't so I will, I'll toot my own horn a little bit. He didn't really teach me anything as far as, like, the design of stuff goes. Luckily, um, when I grew up, I had an aunt who was super into photography and videography and drawing and painting. She's like the art kid and everything, and, that's how I got into the video production and stuff I'm in now is because of all the stuff that she showed me, but also, she got me into, like, drawing and stuff, so I was super into drawing until, like,
yeah,
maybe, like, 20 or something, and then it just straight fell off, but a lot of the stuff that I learned doing all that kinda stuff and, like, designing packages and all the crazy things that we did for projects and stuff, um, just fell into that, and I mean, I don't know, there's just something in my brain where it has to be symmetrical, and I don't like the round edges, I want sharp, curvy.
yeah,
I want something that's sharp with a big chamfer on it, and then you can add curves to that if you need. I don't want
yeah.
round filleted edges or anything, so
It it
well,
kinda reminds me of,
on
like
3D prints at least. I'm looking at my wife. She's pretty curvy.
damn, damn. Okay, hopefully she don't get mad.
Cheers
Oh,
to you, wife.
John Crumb's in the house, allegedly. Allegedly,
Allegedly.
big John. You missed the story, bro. Yeah, man, that's it. When I see, certain designs, it reminds me of the cars, bro, like, in the early '70s, late '80s, you know?
Mhm.
Like, all the
Yep.
they were proportioned, bro, and I like those designs. So when I see your designs, bro, I'm like, "Damn, how is he doing it, man?" His stuff is nice. Like, it just but people don't understand that, and that's dope that you came from an artistic background, and I think that's the reason that you see the designs a certain way,
Yeah.
and then now you could turn them and make them into a 3D object, which is amazing, bro. That's something I didn't know.
What's I will say that a lot of my design comes from not fully learning SolidWorks and a lot of its capabilities on the early side. So, like,
Yeah.
Um, Hoffman and Chairman Wan are great examples of people who have learned their respective programs very well. They
Yeah,
use
man.
surfacing, and surfacing allows you to make complex but organic and very smooth shapes that look really nicely. And when I first started, I didn't know how to do that at all. That was like not even a thought in my mind to even look into. So everything I did was hard edged, and I found a way to make it look good to me. And then as I kept progressing and going further and further and further, I finally got to somewhere where I felt comfortable putting like, "Hey guys, check this shit out." Like,
Yeah.
and then eventually I got to the mac and cheese and I'm like, "All right, here's my opportunity. Here's the shot to like get that out there." Um, and that's really when that kind of aesthetic was like locked in because like
That's
before that there's a shotgun shell holder that I made and that one was very round and very curvy. It still had some chamfers on it, but if you were to see that, you would not think that it was associated with me at all.
yeah, man.
Wow. What's
Nestor's
your rifle
asking yeah,
background? If you're talking about this thing up here, um,
somebody said,
that is a yeah, it's a 9 millimeter calico carbine or
"Damn,
carbine.
sports brand with a good eye."
The so the top part up there is a helixical magazine. So it's basically a drum that is in that little tube, and it holds that particular one holds 100 rounds. They have smaller ones that hold 50. So it gets really heavy for a weapon, at least when you have 100 rounds in there. Um, they have a collapsible stock version. This one is not that. So it I'm 6'1", my arms are, like, fully
Oh,
extended
okay,
when I
yeah,
shoot it.
yeah.
Um, it is not a good weapon by any means. There's a lot of things wrong with it, but it's a really good, conversation starter when people come over, and, it's something just cool to have on the wall. It's
Oh, and someone Sportsman says it's Biggie Small's favorite gun. I forgot. Yeah, I'm
you
pretty sure
know
yeah.
I do remember something about a calico. I never kinda put 2 and 2 together until that, though.
And somebody's saying, I remember those, don't they jam a lot?
Yeah, so my I haven't found out why, for sure, but I think it has to do with 2 things. 1, it needs to be lubed really well, and 2, those magazines are very picky, so
Oh,
on the back of the magazine I don't wanna grab it because 'cause we're on YouTube
yeah,
and it'll be funny, but on the back of that magazine, there's actually a wind, so you have to wind up the, mag like you would a normal drum, and you have to get it tight. But if you get it too tight, it's gonna just start
yeah,
ejecting rounds out. It's not gonna be reliable. If you don't get it tight enough, it's gonna jam and not feed properly. So you're gonna go bang, click, oh shit, rack it, bang, click, rack it. Like it'll be every other round basically.
that's crazy.
Um, it's not good at all. But it's always funny to tell people like, yeah, that was supposed to be the gun that the Navy SEALs were gonna use, and they said, hell no.
Oh, I think I saw something about it, that it was too heavy and bulky, or not reliant enough.
Basically, all 3 of those things, yeah. They're like, "Why would we not go with the MP5, and why
Yeah,
would we go with that?"
yeah, man. It's I mean, when you mentioned Chairman One and, Hoffman Tactical,
Mhm.
Hoffman Tactical's designs are also very pleasing to the eye.
Yeah,
Chair
absolutely.
Chairman Chairman One's, stippling is amazing. So now, I kinda understand where you sit, where if
Mm.
you're like, "Hey, I have to do this with my style," it kinda makes sense, perfect sense, actually.
I
That's
don't
dope.
know I don't know what Hoffman does for a living. I haven't really talked to him a whole lot about,
Yeah,
where his stuff comes from, and I'm not gonna divulge too much about Chairman One, but Chairman, he's he's very well versed in, what he does, and he actually it made me feel good when I talked to him about it because I have the same methods for the things that he does. He's just way the fuck better at it. So
yeah,
if he with like texturing and stuff like that, he is just a step up. Like the- obviously everyone here knows Chairman One and never knows him
yeah.
for his stippling. So everyone knows that he's the step up. He's the dude for stippling. But um it was kind of funny because when I found out how he did it and we are talking, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I do. What the fuck is why are you so much better? Like,
Oh, so you kind of were okay, that's crazy. So I have another question for you, man.
sure.
What is a design that you wanna kind of work with and make better? It doesn't have to be something that is part of the 3D community. It could be anything, even part of the 2A, you know?
Um there's a lot of stuff coming out recently that makes me really proud but really frustrated because there's a lot of really cool things coming out in our industry, like launchers. Like you can launch a can of baked beans right now. Like
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. um, there's just so much that's coming out that's really cool, and a lot of that stuff I have on my list, and I'm like, cross that one off or move it to the bottom. Another one, cross that off, move it to the
yeah.
bottom. There's a handful of things out there that people haven't gotten to that I do have on my list, or just to do a little bit differently. I was talking to Digital Nimbus about revamping his designs. Um,
Damn, that'll be dope, bro. Cause digital image designs are nice, like, so if you guys would do
yeah.
a collab, that would be amazing.
See, he actually, we were in the beginning phases of it, and we were talking for a while, and I
Wait,
kind of
wait, wait,
ghosted
wait,
him
for
after a
real?
while. Yeah, I
Damn.
kind of ghosted him after a little bit because I got really busy with the apple pie stuff. But um, I haven't talked to him about this yet, so hear here first. But
Yeah.
um,
Heard it here
I
first.
probably won't do his design anymore. I'll probably take a lot of inspirations from it and see if I can get him to do the brace for mine.
That'll be
Um,
dope.
specifically, just because a lot of the other people have such a different design. method. Like they have a lot of those curves and a lot of those other things. So I'd really just have to like cut their designs up in order to make it work for me. So I'm just like, I'll just go for it on my own, and I'd rather collab with them on that and like bring him in for other things. So Digi Nimby, if you're here, you want to do some texturing and some stuff on some Middleton made?
That'll be dope, bro. That would
Yeah.
be so dope. I have a question for you, and you could answer it any way you want. Do you think that we are right now in the space that the 2A 3D community is at? Do you think we're in the renaissance, or we're still haven't reached that era of 2A 3D printing?
No, I think we just figured out a few things. W- When we can print things in more resilient materials that you can leave in a car in the middle of the day and you come back to it and it's cool, I think that's when we'll actually hit that point where, holy crap, this is the next big thing. Um, there's companies like SIG. So SIG is making their suppressors now. Not all of them, but they're making their suppressors out of 3D printed titanium. The fact that there's other commercial big companies with established names putting those out there, like, you can go out and buy one of those right now at your local SOT. They probably have that one, and it's stupid light. Like, I held one at, one near me, and it's unbelievably light, but
Damn, that's insane.
only those giant ass companies are the only ones with those printers. So it's just like,
Yeah, correct.
I can't afford to get one of those in my house, and then although this living room is huge as fuck, my wife would kill me if I had a 12 foot by 12 foot
Bro,
3D printer, so
I think your wife and your daughter, they probably
yeah,
wouldn't be able to sleep, bro. They
yeah.
wouldn't be able to sleep. So you think that once we figure out, something stronger to be able to print to, that's when we might hit that
When
goal,
it's
goal.
affordable to print in those things, so, like, let's say we can if you can just be like, "Oh, shit, you know what? Man, the rims of my vehicle are whack. I'm gonna get new rims," and you're just gonna draw something up and print them. That's the
Yeah,
day. Like, when you can do that with a suppressor, with a receiver, with anything else, and it's actually, like, quality,
yeah.
like, because I mean, even with 3D printing now and with polymers, like, because there's so many different machines, because there's so many different, materials and stuff like that, there's so many variables where if I put out a file and someone doesn't read the README, I
Hey,
uh, I mean, even if they do read the README, almost every single design I get messages, "Oh, this isn't working." "Oh, well, send me a photo, like, let's see what's working." "Oh, did you print that in fluorescent?" "Oh, well, in the README, it says don't use fluorescent filaments." Like,
did you use Silky PLA?
yeah, I mean, it's I love receiving messages from the community. Like, I literally respond to every single person who messages me. So
Yeah.
feel free, community, to continue doing that because I absolutely love it. But it's always the people that like send, "Hey, I'm doing a thing that the README says not to do. Why isn't this working?" Or, "Oh, there's a README file." Like,
Yeah, bro.
yes.
Like, a lot, and it's funny because we mention it, and a lot of people don't actually take it seriously, bro. And,
Let me and I do want to say I'm not trying to shit on the community
no,
for not reading it, but seriously, the reason that developers put that in there is for your safety and to make sure that you guys have working prints, and it's not just something like, "Oh, let me just whip this up," like, it is something really simple, but, like, putting thought and care into it, like, I care about your guys' well-being, I don't want you guys to have, like, an explosion in your face, like, there was a guy who printed the back end of his mac and cheese in is either fluorescent or silk, I don't remember which one,
what?
um, and it was the tail cap, so I don't have a tail cap laying around, but the tail cap is like one of the 2 parts that receives a lot of stress, and
Oh, damn.
he said it literally snapped off and it sent the bolt of the mac and cheese flying right by his head, and I'm like,
Holy shit.
"Yeah, that's why it says not to do that." Like,
Damn, bro.
so I'm just like, I don't want someone to get hurt from improperly making something, so it's like, if someone tells you not to put fucking bleach in your cereal tomorrow morning, just listen to
Yeah,
them. Like,
don't do it. And I
yeah.
actually accidentally, swallowed bleach one time, bro.
Oh, man.
It was an accident, like, I stupidly had bleach in a water bottle, but I
Oh.
but I made a little hole on top of the bottle water bottle with bleach, right? So then my mom decides to get that bottle from under the sink and place it next to the water bottles. So I just grabbed it, opened it, and took a chug, and then when I realized it was kind of late, but I was
Oh,
I was still able enough to, like, spit it out,
yeah.
but I don't think I swallowed enough to die. Maybe that's why I'm, like, the way I am, 'cause
You're like, "Maybe that's why I'm a little goofy."
yeah, yeah. That's what it is. It's not the lead paint that I used to eat as a kid, it's the bleach I swallowed.
There's a funny story with that. So there's a kid that I used to hang out with, he was another skater, and his name was Sean, and we'd always skate together, and his sister was, let's just say, like, 8, and at the time, we were probably, like, 16, 17, and, we had one of her buddies coming over, so we had pizza that night, and we had, like, this super hot stuff. This is, like, right when those really, really, really hot sauces came out, like, you have to sign a waiver type of thing, and, we took off one of the sausages, squirted some of that under there, put the sausage back on, and we did that in a couple spots. We got him really good, and we were like, "Oh, this is the funniest shit ever. This dude's crying, he can't breathe." We didn't see his sister come up and bite one, and we're like, "Oh!" So she took a bite, she started crying, she started throwing up and, like, freaking out, vomiting, and, that was, like, the night before, so that happened all probably at, like, 11 p.m., and we were like, "Oh, shit, that sucks." The next day, because I stayed the night there, so we can go skate again the next day, um, his sister finds, I think it was, like, a cup or a water bottle or something like that. She fucking drank bleach, and we're like, "What the fuck?" So, like, then we had to take her to the hospital, and
Damn,
it was
bro.
this huge thing, and we asked her, like, "Why the fuck would you do that?" And she's like, "I spilled it, and it splashed into my mouth." And we're like, "Shut the
Nah,
fuck."
nah.
Like,
If she would've spilled it, she would've smelled it, and it wouldn't, you know?
yeah.
She
She
chugged that
straight up
thing.
drank it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Man, I felt bad for that kid because, like, one night we accidentally pranked her when we went, I mean, we did prank the other kid too, but, like, she
But yeah,
just jumped in on it.
it was 2 for the price of 1.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn, it sucks to be that kid's sister today."
Damn, bro, that's crazy. Alright, man, I have another question to, about your designs. Um, have you tried nylon? And if you haven't, why not? And if you have, what do you think about it? Do you think it's, like, the stepping stone to replace PLA plus?
I have, I've actually started using it, but I've been having issues, so, like, I'm dialing in retraction right now. I thought I had it dialed in on this one, but it's a little funky. But the main issue on this one, you can see retraction on the center, but I had a layer shift. The first time I've ever had a layer shift in years. So,
Damn, bro.
um, but when I tell people 60% gyrate infill, that's why, because that's like you that's so solid. Like,
That shit looks nice, bro.
I mean, it looks good otherwise.
Yeah.
And then because it's the overhang and all that kind of stuff, it kind of
Yeah.
sucks. But um I really like it. So this is the same smart stuff that Kron suggested I use.
Mhm.
And I was having a lot of issues with it, along with coax sticking after a while. And then he gave me the secret sauce. So I'm maybe giving out a little secret here, but if you don't know, use purple
Yeah,
purple.
yeah, the purple's the way to go, bro.
I thought it was good. And I thought I was doing well because the coax was sticking for a while, and then, excuse me, I couldn't get the same smart stuff to stick past like maybe an inch tall. After that, it'd always pop off.
Yeah.
This thing stayed on the whole time, well
Nah,
enough to even survive that layer
yeah,
shift.
and make sure you guys don't use that much because especially if you're printing on a, like, glass bed, because it's gonna be a mission to remove that print after it's done. I'm just
Yeah.
speaking from experience.
Yeah, it was a decent challenge even in PEI. Like, I have a magnetic sheet, so I could have pulled it off and bend it, but
Yeah.
I try not to just because it's kind of a hassle to get back on there. But yeah, I was like, "That this is the game changer. I just gotta dial in my retraction settings again, like, we're good."
That's dope, bro. And see, I appreciate that about the community that, once you've been putting in your work for a bit and posting and talking to people, they get more comfortable with you, and
Mhm.
that's when they start sharing with you. And I think, a lot of communities are very protective of their secrets,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? But,
See, I'm all open s well, I wouldn't say I'm all open source because I do put stuff behind a paywall, but all my stuff eventually goes free.
yeah,
Um To clarify on that actually, because I think a lot of people there's a lot of people who are all FOSCAD, no
Mhm.
pay. Um, we gotta make a living, man. Like, I understand doing this kind of stuff for the community, but, buying ammo, especially nowadays, like, the extra support that people give very graciously, I should add, on, like, Buy Me a Coffee and other
Oh,
things like
yeah.
that, or on DefCAD. DefCAD's not a whole lot, but, I'm still really appreciative for that. Is what funds me being able to get these designs out and actually test them myself before I'm like, "Here's the alpha, I hope it works." Like, alpha means that I tested it and it works.
And
You
then
guys give me feedback so we can bring it into beta. Like, I
yeah,
need more than a sample size of 1. Um, Push PLA says beer is a must. Uh,
yeah, they're talking about
Unfortunately, I have not bought alcohol with my my money yet, but,
they're talking about, the skating sessions, bro.
shit, yeah. 3D two-way skate sesh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I think he's they asked.
If we
Oh,
play
here we
skate,
go. We
there
gotta
you
do
go.
a 3D 2A skate. Yeah, there we
If
go.
we do skate, flat ground has to happen or I'm not in.
Somebody said a 3D 2A, baseball game.
Nah, no thanks. That
Yeah,
that that's
baseball
running.
baseball is fun if you're playing it, but if you're just watching it, I mean, I don't
I don't know if you can hear, but that's a belly. I ain't running.
for reals, man. So, um, you were we were talking about your nylon. You think that's gonna be like the game changer? You think a lot of us are gonna transfer into nylon?
Um, I think there's still a decent level for or a decent need for PLA plus. I think PLA plus is easy enough where people can just jump into it, but nylon is probably the good replacement for like ABS or ASA. Like, why jump into those materials when CF nylon warps less? I don't have an enclosure for my printers. Like, all of them are open air, and I'm
Yeah.
not having warping issues. So it's just like it's way easier to print and it has better properties. So there's like, why not? Like, the only thing that's a downside is the hygroscopity of it, like the absorbing water and
Yeah,
moisture.
so
But
that's what I was gonna ask you. Do you still need to use a dryer box to dry your nylon, or you don't really have to that much?
I definitely do. There are significant print um, consequences if you don't dry your filament, specifically nylon. Um, Usually with nylon, if I haven't printed within a few days, I'll like leave it in there overnight in a food dehydrator on like 150 Fahrenheit.
Mhm.
And then if the if it's been sitting on the printer and being used and just kind of running through a little bit and it's opening up more and more, I'll just maybe run it for like 4 hours at that same temp. But water, especially with nylon, really makes your retraction way worse. Like, you get a lot more stringing. Your layers will look a lot crappier and a lot more noticeable. I mean, it's very noticeable. And as far as Evil SD, what brands I use, I have Coex LLC, the Nilex CF
Mhm.
or carbon filled, and then Sane Smart. I don't know which one I like more right now. Um, I'm kind of leaning towards Sane Smart, to be honest, because
What? Really?
yeah, I was really hard on that Coex stuff for a while, but um, it jams a lot more. Like, I was having a lot of clogs, and I was just like, "Oh,
Oh.
well, maybe that's why I'll jump up to the point 0.6 nozzle like they suggest." But then I was having oozing and retraction issues. Like, I kept getting stringing.
Wait. Was that, with a recent, uh, like a recent filament you bought? Because I think they were having issues with that, and coax took it off market, right? I don't know if you heard about that?
Um, that was about the time where I stopped actually talking with the owner. I was talking with the guys kind of like in that were running that whole show, and they said that they were having issues, but he didn't mention anything with that. He said it was with like bulges in the filament and stuff.
Yes, I guess they've
Um,
been, 'cause I bought one in April, and I haven't even opened it, and then,
oh wow,
I was talking to somebody, and they said that, yeah, they even took it out of the website because they were having so many issues with it,
oh wow,
so that if you call back and tell them that when you were doing it, it was warping and whatever, they'll send you some, replacement, I forgot what.
Hmm. Maybe I should look into that.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you if you get another free roll, bro, it's a free roll, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the issue too, is like the point 0.6 nozzle was just not working well. It was just I loved it for the speed because like it's not double the size, but it like half the print times. Like I could print a receiver in less than a day. Like
Damn, that's
it,
crazy.
it was yeah. And if you print large, you can print larger layer heights now too. So you print a layer height like 0.28 and like that shit's done so quick. Like it's just great. Like way faster, but the oozing and the retraction nightmare that was is just too much. The point 0.4 nozzle now, I got a tungsten carbide one on there, from Dyes Designs, I think it's called.
And do you
Uh,
notice the difference with the because you know how they, like, try to push it like, "Oh, tungsten," and then they got the one with a ruby or some BS and
yeah, so I did a bit of research before I bought this one because this is an $80 nozzle, and I was
yeah,
like,
exactly. I'm like, "Damn, bro."
um so tungsten is great because it has a lot of the same heat properties as nylon, or excuse me, as brass. So
Mhm.
when you are running 250 or like I run my nylon at 260. Um, 260 is as high as the Viper can go.
Okay,
So if you're on the Anycubic Viper, you can't go higher than that without having to like do something with the firmware. And I'm not gonna fuck with the
yeah.
machines that much. Um,
Why fix it if it ain't broken, bro?
Yeah, I mean, if you need to go higher than 260, it's not the right machine then. Like, just is
Yeah,
what it is. But everything else about it I really like. But um running a hardened steel nozzle, steel doesn't have as good as heat properties as far as keeping that temperature. So if a hardened steel nozzle, that it's going to drop down a lot quicker. If you push more filament through it fast, it's going to cool off way faster than it would otherwise. So you can print faster with tungsten, and it keeps the temperature up a lot longer. And I mean, the temp that it's trying to get to is going to be a lot more accurate as well.
that's dope. Somebody's asking that if you've ever tried, HTPLA. What do you think? Have you?
Is that the stuff from Protopasta?
So, yeah, so I think Protopasta has it and another company has it, and it's the stuff that you're able to anneal.
Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't tried that. Polymaker is actually, or is it Polymaker or Protopasta? Protopasta, so we just said.
Yes, it's I think it's Protopasta it's usually Protopasta the one that has it, but I think Polymaker might have it too, but everybody's been using the Protopasta one.
No, I haven't tried anything from Protopasta. Annealing just seems like a headache, but I'm also not very well versed in it. Like when I stopped looking into annealing, people were recommending burying it in sand or silica and
Uh,
then putting it in your oven, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna fucking do that.
yeah.
So,
So, I
if
think what
that's still where we're at, I'm not gonna do it,
so I
but
think
I'm uneducated,
yeah,
so
I think the easiest the way that I saw that you could do it was, uh getting like, one of those water cooker things. Oh, you know the things you use for film development to keep the film at a certain temperature that it's
yeah,
like a thermometer? So you
yep.
get one of those and then you get some water, put it in there, then you get a plastic Ziploc bag and fill it up with, like, salt or whatever you're gonna use, and that's how you warm it up. I think Chairman One does it like that.
Hmm.
And I mean, to me, it looks like the simplest form because I was gonna try it, but then when people were saying like, "Put it in your oven" and all of this, I'm like, "Hell no, I'm not gonna be doing all that
Yeah.
weird stuff." You know what I mean?
I was like, I could not imagine, like, maybe if I was single and renting or
I
something,
need
but, like,
cooking class,
imagine
homie.
getting sand all up in your wife's oven, like,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's
no
not good.
fucking way. She's looking at me right now, she'd kill me, like
Yeah, she's like, "You're not touching my oven."
yeah, 3D arms that you do lose a little bit of detail when you go to point 0.6, but I'm not about that detail. I'm about all those smooth, large chamfered faces, and I don't know. The only thing I ever do for detail on mine are, like, a little bit of words. So,
Mhm.
for me, it's not that big of a deal, but
Yeah,
Propasta
that's tough.
HTPLA, yeah, oh, yeah, HTPLA, that makes sense.
And then 3D, what did you say? 3D fuel, you're supposed to be able to kneel there. Yeah, there you go, 3D fuel too. And then the homie is telling you, bro.
Time for Nah, my wife is kick-ass, like, we've been how long we've been married now? Like
Bro, you can't ask
64
that to
years?
your wife, bro.
64 years? Yeah. Um, we've yet to have any major fights, like, I
Yeah,
mean
that's dope. A lot of people don't understand that, having, like, a dope wife or having a righteous wife next to you makes you the man that you are at the moment.
she's
Uh,
been very supportive with, like, all the Middleton made stuff, and, like, if there's ever a day where I'm having a hard time or whatever, she does whatever she can to make it better, and I mean, you can a lot of people are like, "Oh, I gotta hide this from my wife, blah, blah, blah," and I'm like, "Hey, babe, I'm buying a new gun, or I'm buying a new thing," and she's like, "Alright, have fun." Like, I mean, I don't know. It when you have someone that you can disagree on something with and have an actual conversation and not have to debate or yell or get in a fight over stupid shit, like, most people can't say that they've gone over 6 years without fighting with their significant other.
Bro, I was with my wife for, like, 10 years, and every other day was a fight, and when I stopped fighting with her, that's when shit went left, like, you know? I'm like,
Mhm.
"What?" I'm like she's like, "Why don't you wanna fight?" I'm like, "Because I don't want to fight."
Yeah.
"You're boring." I'm like, "Nah, bitch, you're crazy."
No, it's awesome being able to come home and, like, be like I don't know, it's one of those things where, like, you see those, like, ancient Norse, like, fucking the man came home to his wife and child, and, like, it's not like that anymore, but, like,
Nah,
I come home and I'm like, "Ah, fuck yeah," like, I really appreciate seeing my girls, like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kicking ass.
I mean, people need to realize sometimes that having a significant other is actually very beneficial and helpful if you
Oh,
guys
yeah, yeah.
if you guys learn to respect each other's roles, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that's where, we're having issues right now that they're trying to make it like we're both equal, but no, nobody's equal, you know? Everybody has a role to play in this world,
Yeah,
and
there's certain things
that's
like that.
yeah.
Everything with free relationship advice with Middleton Made. Communication. Seriously, like, treat the other person like you wanna be treated and have communication. So if they do something that you don't like, approach it like an adult and don't be like, "Hey, it's really fucking annoying when you do blah, blah, blah." Just be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, sometimes when you do this and I'm trying to do this, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So
yeah.
can we can we do a different way? Or like what can I do to make it easier for you to do something else?" Like, don't make it their problem. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Try to find common ground and solve those
mhm,
problems. Because then if you keep that stuff inside and then it keeps getting more and more and then you blow up and you made it a bigger deal when you could have just handled it since the beginning.
bingo, bingo.
Yeah. Damn, bro, everybody's talking about their wives now. Started dating my wife in 1984, had some disagreements, but no big fights.
Well,
That's
see
dope.
that we we fight all the time. I mean, I beat the shit out of my wife, but
Oh,
no, we it's actually kinda cool is, like, when we first started dating, we would, like, legit wrestle, like, non-funky, no
yeah,
funny
yeah.
shenanigans, but, like, legit wrestle, and, like, there was one time where I had her in a good arm lock, and she was like, "Ow," and I was like, "Yeah, don't pull out of that, you have to go this way to get out of it, otherwise you're gonna break your arm." She's like, "Well," and she does it, I'm like, "Stop!" Like,
Bro, I
oh, yeah, it's
remember
cool, man.
yeah, crazy. It's I don't know why, but I mean, it's fun, man. Okay, so I have another question for you, man,
Hell yeah.
and then, I'll let you go and have fun with your wife, because 'cause I'm pretty sure she's looking at you like, "Hey, man, when are we gonna see our show?"
She's
Uh,
just playing Sims.
okay, cool. So, what's one thing that you would like to see happen more in the 2A 3D community? And it could be anything that you wanna say about that.
I wanna see more people collaborate and do, just more integrated projects. I think I mentioned before, imagine having, like, a "Are We Cool Yet" design that was also worked on by, like, the wacky people over at Black Lotus Coalition. Like, you get some of the really technical, cool looking shit with some of the people who do really wacky shit and smash that together. Like, I mean, there's gotta be something really, really cool to come out of that. I mean,
You feel like, maybe our egos is gonna be what kind of makes the community not grow as fast?
I don't know if it's necessarily ego, but I do think it's like kind of like that. There is a word for it, and I can't think of it right now. But like, it's the same thing that makes us have like that hometown pride and that national pride, and our the same pride you get for whatever your race or nationality is. It's the same kind of a thing when you associate yourself with a group, you have a football team or whatever. You're like, yeah, my group is better than the other group, and it's like I think everyone just needs to work together on this. Like, I think 3D printing is like the best forefront for liberty that the US has right now. Cause like our politicians aren't doing shit.
Yeah,
Like the fact that there's a bill that made it, was it Senate or I don't remember, it made it past something. Maybe it was the
at
House.
the house, right? Yeah,
That essentially outlaws everything on that wall. Like
for real.
everything I own would be outlawed if that passes, other than like a couple bolt action 22 long rifle things. So it's just like, how did that even make it that far? Like,
Yeah, it's great.
bring back bring back tar and feather. Let's start there.
No, bro, I agree 100% with you. I think honestly, if we unite and we stick together and we share our information and we keep everything open source, because even if you're charging, bro, I'm okay with that, right? Because there's gonna be people that don't know how to go to Odyssey. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you could release it to the people that are already known in Odyssey, and then you
Mm,
could charge for it too for the people that can't find it there. And hey, they found it and they're willing to pay. Go ahead, man,
yep.
because that's gonna help the community grow. That's gonna help you start slowly concentrating more on designing and creating instead of worrying about your 9 to 5 or whatever it is. So I strictly believe that if we all unite together and we fight the good fight, this whole 2A 3D community could be huge, man. This
Yeah.
could be huge. The
I
problem
think
is a lot of us still have egos, and a lot of the projects are our babies, and we
mhm.
don't wanna let other people touch our babies, you know?
Yeah, I will say that, like, right now with this apple pie project, I am extremely grateful that 3D Arms let me into it because as it was more of a, "Hey, let's do a collaboration," and then it kinda became my monster, and I'm like, "I think I just aborted his baby." Like like, it's now
Bro,
my creation, like
you took it to Planned Parenthood?
but, like, being able to work with him has been awesome. So, like, seeing that 2 individuals like he and I can work together like this and come up with a design that's just kick ass. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm super excited for that to go public. Like, I think we're almost there, by the way, but like the fact that that's about to go public is like hype. Like, he did, yeah, it's reborn. He
Yeah,
says, yeah,
that 3D Arms is dope. He was doing that, push pump AR.
yeah. That's exactly what the Apple Pie
Yeah,
project is.
that's
Yeah.
so, I mean, I know I was supposed to start on it, bro, but I'm paying, like, $1 a round for 223 in California. So, yeah, I'm sorry,
So
bro.
this is the coax 3D. This is the pump portion of it. So it's like an AFG
Yeah.
built in. Um, but coax, I mean, you can see coax 3D
Yeah,
nylon
but then
printed
let me
pretty
let me,
damn well.
let me do your solo layout. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so I mean,
Wow, that came out nice, bro. I'm telling you, bro, your lines are crispy as fuck, bro.
the only part that's a little jank is
Yeah, right there.
underhangs, but I mean, everything else
Yeah, it's
is
stuff
legit.
that's not, yep, it's like a place
Like,
where it's not even visible.
and I mean, making it so it has these little lips to like push forward on and everything. I mean,
Oh, that's smart.
the but, like, coming up with this, like, I saw 3D Arms pump, and when we went into it, I was like, "Oh, well, shit, like,
Hey,
if
bro,
this
they
can
already
pump, I
got
don't
a
have to know."
remix. They got a remix name for it, the Peach Cobbler.
You better but see, I'll let you know, the apple pie I got because you know how everyone's like,
Yeah,
"Well,
it's
there's nothing
American.
more American than the apple pie," although it's
Right.
from England, but sure, but, um so if you come up with something for peach cobbler, you have to find out where peach cobbler came from and make it inspired by that. So that's the rule with all my food namings. Like the sauerkraut was inspired by the HKG
Oh.
36, so it's German sauerkraut. Um, I don't know the other ones off the top of my head because it's getting a little late, but I can't.
The
All my stuff is like
mac and cheese
inspired by
with
some. Oh
the
yeah, mac and
conch, man.
cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Alright,
but yeah, I mean, all that comes off of there. I mean, yeah,
yeah, man.
it's
That's dope, man. I really appreciate you being here for like an hour and 10 minutes. I know you're a busy person, bro. Is there anything you wanna tell the people? You wanna shout out anything? Let them know anything new you're working on, and then we'll call it a night.
sure. If you're not already following 3D Arms, follow him. He's the one running the beta for the Apple Pie. So if you want to actually get in on that and see the pump action AR-15, that's almost completely printable and doesn't require a buffer tube. It's you could put a folding brace or a PDW brace or whatever you want on the back of it. Um, Follow him, talk to him. He's the guy that can get it going for you. If you want to engage with me, check me out on Instagram, YouTube. I'm on Facebook, but honestly, Facebook's business suite thing is just absolute trash.
Yeah,
So
it's retarded. Also,
Instagram's the way to go.
his website is linked below. All his stuff, well, his website and his Instagram for sure are linked below. So go check him out. Go check out his website. He has dope videos, and I think he does like this thing where you ask him questions once a month or something like that. You're starting that?
Yeah, so every month, I've been doing it for a couple months now. Every month I do on my Instagram, Ask Me Anything. Usually it's in the first couple weeks. But if you're on Instagram, make sure you pay attention to my stories. And if you participate in that, I usually don't say people's names, just keep it anonymous because some people are funky about that and have like private profiles and stuff. But most of the time, if you have a question in there that's not jank, it'll make it in the video. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, check me out on there. And then, excuse me, files are in all the traditional places, Odyssey, DefCAD, all that kind of a thing. And all my releases go first to alpha and beta through Buy Me Coffee. Those are like a Patreon subscription. Um, if you can afford to support me on there, feel free. But if you cannot, all of my files will eventually be free. So do not pay for files if it puts you in a financial bind. I don't like. I'm part of the whole Flask Guide thing too. So it goes there for beta for testing. Those are my guinea pigs. So those are the people with like holes in their hands and like wearing face masks and shit when they get blown up. But um, from there it goes to from there it goes to DefCAD, and then usually when I release on DefCAD, I upload it a day or two later on Odyssey. DefCAD takes like a week or 2 weeks to actually get posted sometimes because they're busy people too. So um, no matter what, all in all, it'll always be free. So follow or subscribe or do whatever you need to do, but those files will always be out there. So
That's dope, man. All right, guys. So thank you for joining us. Make sure you guys go follow, like his stuff. Like I said, like his designs. It's geomat. I'm a retard.
symmetrical,
Yes, symmetrically.
geometric,
Ah, enticing.
visually
Yeah,
ASMR.
there you go. Bro, you need to do like voice acting or something. All right, man.
I've heard that before.
I really appreciate you having coming on the show, bro. It means a lot to me. You're welcome anytime you're doing anything new. You want to give us you trying to promote whatever you got to promote. Let me know, bro. I got you in the show. Thank you for everybody that stayed tuned and watched and have fun, bro. Be safe. Appreciate you.
If you're not following Sabr, make sure you're doing it. That's the will of the American people.
Damn, you heard it here first. Obama said it. So make sure you guys do that. All right, bro. Thank you. Be safe. Everybody, take care. Have a good day. Bye. Stay tuned real quick, bro, and then I'll cut you off. Good night, guys. Stay dangerous, stay safe, and stay alert. Also, breakfast tacos are a myth. We only have breakfast burritos. That's it. No fucking breakfast tacos. That's a lot.